My brother and I were never just brothers, we were best friends. The kind of inseparable that other people envied. From building Lego cities that spanned the living room carpet to sneaking out after curfew just to stare at stars, we were a team. I was the older one by 2 years and I took that role seriously. Protector. Role model. Confidant. I thought I knew everything about him. Every quirk, every scar, every bad dream. Turns out I didn't know a damn thing. He told me 3 months ago. I remember the exact second because my world cracked in half at that moment. We were sitting on the porch drinking beers like always, the late summer air clinging to our skin, and out of nowhere he said, "I need you to stop calling me bro. I'm not your brother. I'm your sister." At first I thought it was a joke. Some weird, messed up joke. But she know they were dead serious. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I was scared and confused and something inside me was breaking open and I didn't know how to stop it. He didn't laugh. He just looked at me with those same eyes I've known since we were kids and said, "I've been living a lie my whole life, Will. I can't anymore." The silence that followed was heavy, unbearable. All I could do was nod. I don't remember what I said after that. Something useless, probably. Something about needing time. I've had time, and I still don't know what the hell I feel. I know I love him, her. I know that. But every time I see my sibling now, I feel like I'm staring at a stranger wearing my brother's face. The hair's longer, the clothes different, the voice slightly higher, but it's deeper than appearances. It's the way they carry themselves, the confidence, the sadness. And here's the part one hates saying out loud, even to myself. I miss my brother. I miss the version of them that I thought I knew. I know that sounds selfish. I know this isn't about me. But sometimes I wonder if I've lost something I'll never get back. I told my wife. She hugged me and said all the right things. "That's brave of him," she said. "You have to support them. Even saying that still feels foreign on my tongue. I told her I'm trying. What I didn't tell her was that I feel like I'm unraveling. Because if I was wrong about who my brother was, if I missed something that huge, what else am I wrong about? What else in my life is built on assumptions that could fall apart with one honest conversation? Last week, my sibling, my sister apparently, asked me to start using her new name, Lena. She looked so hopeful when she asked, like a kid holding out a crayon drawing saying, "Look what I made." I nodded, said okay. But the name didn't leave my mouth. Not once. Not yet. Not because I don't care. But because it feels like if I say it out loud, I'm closing the door on my brother forever. I haven't told my parents. I don't know if Lena has. I'm scared of what Dad will say. He's old school. Military. The kind of man who still believes crying is for women and weakness is contagious. I keep imagining how that conversation would go. I play it out 100 different ways and in none of them does it end well. But maybe the most messed up part is this. I've started to wonder if maybe I was the one living a lie all along. Because last night, I had a dream where I called her Lena. And in the dream, it felt right. And then this morning I woke up, checked my phone, and saw a message from my dad. Just one sentence. "Is there something you want to tell me about your brother?" I stared at the message for 10 full minutes before I could even blink. "Is there something you want to tell me about your brother?" The words felt like a trap. Like he already knew. Like he'd been waiting for me to say it first and now he was giving me one last chance. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear myself think. I didn't reply. Couldn't. Not yet. I paced the house like an animal in a cage. I wanted to scream, but what would that fix? I poured myself a whiskey, even though it was still morning. The burn didn't help. I called Lena, my sister. God, it still takes effort to say that even in my head. She answered right away, like she'd been waiting too. Her voice was soft, hesitant. "You okay?" she asked. "He texted me too," I said. "What did you tell him?" Silence. Then, nothing. Yet, I could tell she was scared. And I hated that I wasn't the kind of brother or sibling who could just tell her it would all be okay. Because I didn't know if it would be. We agreed to talk that night. She wanted to come over. Said she had something to show me. The hours between the call and her arrival stretched forever. My mind went to dark places. What if Dad disowns her? What if Mom starts crying and says God is punishing her? What if this rips our family apart? And I'm standing in the middle with a hand out to each side, trying to hold something that's already shattering. When Lena arrived, she was wearing a hoodie and jeans. No makeup, no statement, just her. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table and pulled something out of her backpack. A notebook, the kind we used to scribble in as kids, back when we were building treehouses and dreaming of space. This, she said, sliding it toward me, is everything I couldn't say out loud. I opened it, and inside were letters, dozens of them, dated all the way back to when we were kids. Dear Will, one started. Today Mom said I couldn't wear the blue dress again. She said boys don't do that. Another read, I cried in the shower today so no one would hear. It hurts pretending to be someone I'm not. Each page was a punch to the gut. I didn't know what hurt more, reading it or realizing how blind I'd been. When I looked up, Lena was crying. Silently, she wiped her face and said, I wasn't mad at you for not seeing. I was mad at myself for hiding it so well. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words just sat there in my throat, heavy and useless. Then I heard a car door slam. I looked out the window. My dad was walking toward the house, alone. I opened the door before he knocked. He didn't say hello, didn't even look at me. His eyes went straight to Lena, and what he said next nearly dropped me to my knees. You were always my daughter. I just didn't see it. For a moment time just stopped. I didn't breathe. Lena didn't move. The house, usually filled with the hum of appliances or the creak of settling wood, felt dead silent. My dad stood in the doorway like some ancient statue, his hands curled into fists, his shoulders rigid. But it wasn't anger stiffening him. It was something else. Something I'd never seen on his face before, grief. Lena rose slowly from her chair, the notebook still in her hand, like a shield. Her voice cracked. You knew. Dad nodded once, his jaw twitching. Not at first, but I remember things. Things I dismissed. Like how you'd flinch when someone called you son. How you stopped talking in middle school. How you locked the door to cry. He shook his head. I thought it was just puberty. Boys being boys, you know? That whole macho bullsh*t I was raised on. You never said anything, Lena whispered. Because I didn't want it to be true, he snapped. Because I thought if I ignored it, it would go away. He sat down at the table like the weight of everything he'd ignored had finally crushed him. I thought I was protecting you. Turns out I was protecting myself. I didn't know what to say. I just watched the two people I loved most navigate a conversation that felt like it should have happened 10 years ago. Maybe longer. Then Lena spoke again. Does Mom know? That's when Dad looked up, and something changed in his eyes. Not sorrow. Not shame. Fear. I haven't told her. Lena let out a short, bitter laugh. Of course not. Because God forbid we upset the Queen. Dad didn't argue. He just rubbed his face and looked older than I'd ever seen him. She's not like me, kid. She doesn't bend. She breaks. She broke me a long time ago, Lena said quietly. I felt a sudden chill ripple through me. Because that sentence, it hit something. Something I'd buried. I remembered a night from when we were kids. Lena, back then still going by the name we were raised calling her, came home late from a friend's birthday party. She'd been quiet, eyes red. I asked if someone had picked on her. She said no. But that night, I'd woken up to the sound of shouting downstairs. Mom's voice, furious, hissing something about shame, about disgusting behavior, about, how could you want to be like that? I thought she was talking about a bad grade, a fight, something normal. But now, looking at Lena, I realized that must have been the night she got caught trying on makeup in the bathroom mirror at her friend's house. Lena turned to me. You remember that night? I nodded. Yeah. That's when I knew I was alone in this house. And then the door opened again. Mom stood in the doorway holding a casserole dish, keys dangling from one hand, purse slung over the other shoulder. Her eyes landed on Dad, then me, then Lena, and narrowed. She didn't speak. just walked slowly to the counter and set the casserole down like it was any other Wednesday. Then she turned around. "What's going on?" Her voice was sharp, measured, like she already knew something was off and was daring us to say it out loud. Dad stood up slowly. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About our daughter," he said. Mom froze. The color drained from her face. Her hands curled into fists. And then, like a dam breaking, she slammed the casserole dish against the wall. It exploded into 1,000 shards. "Don't you dare," she hissed. "Don't you dare stand there and use that word." Lena didn't flinch, didn't cry, just stood there, staring at the mother who had spent a lifetime pretending not to see her. "I'm not pretending anymore," Lena said. "You can either meet me where I am, or keep living in your fantasy. But I'm not going back in that box." Mom pointed at the door. "Get out." I stepped in front of Lena. "No. She stays." "You're choosing her over me?" Mom shouted. "No," I said, voice steady. "I'm choosing truth over fear." And that's when Mom dropped the next bombshell. Her eyes blazed. Her chest heaved. She looked from Dad to Lena to me and then said, "She's not even yours. She's not even yours." The words rang out like a gunshot. I didn't understand them at first. I looked at Dad, his face had gone pale. Lena was frozen, her mouth slightly open, breath shallow. I could hear the ticking of the clock in the kitchen, so loud it felt like thunder. "What the hell are you talking about?" I finally managed to ask, but Mom wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were locked on Dad. "You want to play the hero now? You want to defend your precious daughter?" She practically spit the last word out. "Tell them, Tom. Tell them what you did." My father looked like someone had sucker punched him in the ribs. He staggered back a step and dropped into the kitchen chair like his legs gave out. "I don't know what she's talking about," he said. But his voice, shaky, hollow, betrayed him. Lena stepped forward, the notebook still clutched against her chest like armor. "Dad," she said. "What is she talking about?" Mom crossed her arms, her expression twisted with something almost triumphant. "Tell her who her real father is," she said. "Or should I?" The silence that followed was suffocating. I could feel my chest tightening like I couldn't breathe. "It doesn't matter," Dad whispered. "It doesn't change anything." "It changes everything," Lena said, louder now. "Who is he?" Dad looked up at her, tears swimming in his eyes. "It was a mistake," he said. "A long time ago. Your mom and I were going through a rough patch. She had gone to visit her sister in Chicago for a week. He stopped as if the words physically hurt. "I messed up. It was one night. One. But I never thought, I didn't think, so what?" I interrupted. "You had a one-night stand and she got pregnant?" "She never told me," Dad said. "Not until years later. By then, it was too late. I'd already fallen in love with her. With Lena. I couldn't undo that." "Who is she?" Lena asked again. "My biological mother." "Who is she?" Dad looked at Mom. "You tell her. You're the one who's made it your mission to destroy this family." Mom's face didn't soften. She just raised her chin and said, "You were adopted. We didn't plan to tell you because we didn't think it mattered. But now that you're rewriting your whole identity, maybe it's time you knew." I almost threw up. "You're saying she's not even your daughter? That you kept this from her entire life?" "We raised her," Mom snapped. "We loved her. That should have been enough." "Did you?" Lena asked, her voice cold now. "Did you love me or just tolerate me? Because it sure as hell never felt like love." Mom didn't answer. She just picked up her purse like she was done, like she had dropped a grenade in the center of the room and now she was ready to walk away from the wreckage. But I wasn't done. "So who's the real mother?" I demanded. "Who is she?" Mom paused at the doorway. "Her name was Angela," she said. "Your father met her at a hotel bar. She was a waitress. She got pregnant and called him a few months later. Said she didn't want the baby. She didn't want the responsibility. So she signed over her rights and vanished. We were already struggling to have another child. It felt like fate." Lena looked like she was about to collapse. I rushed to her side and grabbed her arm. "You okay?" She shook her head, eyes distant. "So I'm not your daughter?" "Not by blood. You never told me. You let me believe I was broken all this time, that something was wrong with me. But I wasn't broken. I was just someone else's child." "You were always mine," Dad said quietly. "Blood or not. You were my daughter." "Then why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "Why did I have to find out like this?" "Because I was a coward," he admitted. "Because I thought if you never knew, you'd never feel different. But you did anyway. And I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." Mom turned to leave, but Lena's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Did you ever love me?" Mom paused. Her voice came without emotion. "I loved the son you were supposed to be. That broke something in me. I lunged forward, slamming the door shut before she could leave. No. You don't get to just walk away after saying that. You don't get to ruin everything and pretend you were the victim. She stared at me with icy eyes. What do you want me to say, Will? That I failed? Fine. I failed. I never connected with her. I tried, but she was always different. Different? I hissed. You mean authentic. You mean real. You mean not like you. You always took her side, she said bitterly. Even when she was wrong. She was never wrong for being who she is, I said. You were wrong for trying to erase her. This family's been a lie for years, she said, reaching for the door again. And now, everyone finally sees it. She left, just like that, and none of us stopped her. The silence that followed was deafening. Lena slumped into a chair, burying her face in her hands. I could hear her muffled sobs, and Dad sat beside her, gently resting a hand on her back. We'll find her, he whispered. Your birth mother. If that's what you want. I'll help you. I stood there, numb, staring at the broken casserole on the floor, the smears of sauce across the wall like blood, and I realized that nothing about our family was what I thought it was. Not our parents. Not our memories. Not even us. And then my phone buzzed. A new message. From a number I didn't recognize. One sentence. You don't know the whole truth. Call me, Angela. I stared at the message on my phone like it might burst into flames. You don't know the whole truth. Call me, Angela. My heart pounded in my ears. I reread it over and over until the words lost their shape. I looked up at Lena, still hunched in the chair, shoulders trembling, Dad rubbing slow circles on her back like it might fix something he'd broken years ago. I didn't tell them about the text right away. I didn't know how. I just slipped the phone in my pocket and stepped outside, telling them I needed air. The second the door closed behind me, I called the number. It rang once, twice. Then a voice answered, low and tired. Will? I froze. Yeah. Who is this? It's Angela, she said. Her mother. I figured they'd never tell her. Not the way they should. Why now? I asked. Why reach out after all this time? There was a long pause. Then she said, because I never signed those papers. A cold breeze hit me, and suddenly it was hard to stay standing. What? I never gave up my rights, she said. I never even knew your parents adopted her. I thought she'd been placed in foster care. That's what they told me when I left the hospital. My mouth went dry. That's not possible. My parents said you signed over custody. That you didn't want her. Her voice cracked. That's a lie. I wanted her. I just couldn't keep her. I was in a shelter, no money, no job, no family. I told them I'd come back for her. That I just needed a few months. But when I came back, she was gone. My hand shook so hard I had to press the phone tighter to my ear. You're saying they stole her? I'm saying they took her without telling me, she whispered. I tried to fight, but I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have anything. They sealed the records. And by the time I had something to stand on, it was too late. I sat down on the porch steps. The world was spinning sideways. How did you find me? I've been looking for years, she said. But something changed recently. Someone sent me a photo. Said my daughter had come out as transgender. That she was finally living as herself. And when I saw her face, my God, Will, she looks just like me. My skin crawled. Who sent it? Another pause. Anonymous account. No name. Just the photo and a message. Thought you'd want to know she's still alive. I felt like I couldn't breathe. So you're telling me everything I thought I knew about Lena? About how she became part of our family? It's all a lie? I don't know what your parents told you, she said. But I never stopped thinking about her. I even left letters at the agency every year on her birthday, hoping they'd pass them along. I never stopped hoping she'd find me. My voice was barely a whisper. What do you want from us now? I want to meet her, she said. Just once. Just so she knows the truth. She deserves that. She just found out today, I said, that she's adopted. That her whole life is built on something false. And now you're telling me you're still her legal mother. I don't want to take her away from you, Angela said softly. I just want her to know she was never unwanted. That she was never abandoned. I pressed my fingers to my temples, trying to make sense of it all. Then I heard the door open behind me. It was Lena. Her face was streaked with tears, but her voice was steady. "Who are you talking to?" I didn't answer right away, just handed her the phone. "She says she's your mother." Lena stared at it for a second, then took it. "Hello." The silence that followed was unbearable. I could only hear one side of the conversation, but I saw Lena's face shift. First confused, then angry, then something deeper, more painful. She sat down beside me and didn't say a word for several minutes after the call ended. Finally, she spoke. She says Mom and Dad lied to her, that they faked the paperwork, that she never gave me up. "Do you believe her?" I asked. Lena didn't answer. She just looked at me, eyes shining. What if none of this is legal? What if I was never really adopted? What if everything I am, everything I thought I was, is built on a stolen life? I didn't know what to say. And then she reached into her backpack and pulled out something else. A folded envelope. "I found this taped under Dad's desk drawer," she said. "I wasn't going to open it. But now, I think you should see it." I took it with shaking hands. Inside was a letter. It was dated from 22 years ago. It was from Angela. It was addressed to Lena. And scrawled at the bottom in a different pen, in our mom's handwriting, were the words, "Do not forward. Destroy immediately." My hands were trembling as I held the letter. The paper was yellowed, worn at the edges like it had been handled too many times or shoved away in haste. I stared at the line in Mom's handwriting, "Do not forward. Destroy immediately." It felt like a command from the grave, even though she was still very much alive, somewhere out there, walking around with the knowledge that she'd stolen a child and spent decades pretending nothing was wrong. Lena sat beside me, silent, her face unreadable. I unfolded the letter, my pulse thudding in my ears. The handwriting inside was messy but desperate, every line bleeding emotion. "Dear sweet girl, I don't know what they've told you. Maybe they said I didn't want you. Maybe they said I gave you away. But that's not true. I loved you the moment I saw you. I only let you go because I was promised a chance to get you back. I just needed time. I was sick and broke and alone, but I believed them when they said they'd keep you safe until I got better. I never knew they planned to disappear with you." I couldn't read anymore. My throat burned. I handed it back to Lena, who didn't blink, didn't cry, just stared at it like it was some ancient scripture unlocking every painful truth she'd ever buried. And then she stood up. "We have to confront her." "Not Dad, Mom. I need to hear her say it. I need her to look me in the eye and tell me why she hated me so much she stole me and still couldn't love me." I followed her inside, neither of us speaking, both of us knowing exactly what had to come next. Dad was still in the kitchen, silent, like a man awaiting sentencing. Lena dropped the letter in front of him. "You knew about this." He didn't deny it. He just looked up at her, helpless. "She said she'd make it right. She said it was temporary. She said a lot of things," Lena snapped. "And you believed her. And you let her lie to me for 2 decades. I thought I was protecting you," he whispered. "You weren't. You were protecting her," Lena said, voice shaking now. "All my life I thought I was broken. That there was something wrong with me. And all this time I was just trapped in someone else's lie." "Then let's burn it down," I said suddenly. "Let's end it. Find the truth. Every piece of it." And so we did. That night, we went to Mom's house. Dad drove, Lena in the back seat like a soldier on her way to war. I didn't know what we expected, a fight, a confession, a breakdown. But what we got was so much worse. Mom answered the door with a glass of wine in her hand like it was just any other evening. When she saw us, her face went blank. "You shouldn't be here." "Too bad," Lena said, brushing past her into the house. "You kept me here for 20 years. Now you're going to listen." Mom didn't say anything. She just closed the door and followed us into the living room. "I spoke to Angela," Lena said, standing tall, voice calm. "I read her letter. I know what you did. And I suppose you believe her," Mom said coolly. "Over me." "I believe the truth," Lena said. "And it's something you've never told." For a second, I thought Mom was going to deny it all. But then she sighed and sat down on the edge of the couch like this was some long-expected moment. "I didn't steal you," she said. "Not at first. Your mother wanted to leave you. She was unstable. She didn't even hold you after giving birth. Your father had vanished. She didn't want a child. I stepped in." "You lied," Lena said. "You blocked her letters. You faked the adoption. Because I knew she'd come back. And I couldn't let her take you." "Why not?" Lena asked. "Why keep me if you never wanted me?" Mom's eyes flickered. And that's when it hit me, she had wanted Lena. Just not the Lena that existed. I thought I could fix you, Mom whispered. I thought if I raised you right, strong, obedient, you'd become the son I was promised. But you were always difficult, sensitive, feminine, off. And when I started to see who you really were, I panicked. I thought it meant I failed. You did, Lena said, her voice flat now. But not in the way you think. You didn't fail to make me someone else. You failed to love me for who I am. Mom looked away. No tears. No apology. Just silence. It was over. Not with a scream, not with a fight. Just an empty, hollow nothingness where a mother's love should have been. We left. Dad didn't say a word on the drive home. When we got back to my place, Lena stood in my doorway and looked at me for a long time. You think I'll ever feel whole again? I don't know, I said. But maybe now you get to start. She nodded slowly, then pulled out her phone. I'm calling Angela. I want to meet her. You want me to come? I asked. No, she said. This part, I have to do alone. And as I watched her walk away, I realized something else. I hadn't lost a brother. I had found a sister. And in all the wreckage of everything we thought was true, that was the one thing I knew would never change.